Hey guys. Sorry, we
Hey
have
guys.
crazy technical problems. I'm hoping they're done. I can't promise anything though. And well, if you count technical problems before the technical problems happened, I didn't just knock over. I bumped my desk and my prosecco launched. All it's in my hair still. My hair's still wet. All over my shirt, all over my computer, all over my phone. So I had to dry it and then it gets better. I had to dry my shirt with my hair dryer to make sure it was dry, not see-through for the live, and then I burned my bra, melted. So then we got online and it kept crashing, probably because of the prosecco that spilled. So here we are now. Hopefully that was all the bad luck. Oh, and then what else happened, Beth? My ring light fell and broke.
Yeah, the ring light fell.
Yeah. So everything that could go wrong pretty much just went wrong in the past 20 minutes.
Yeah. It
Um,
happens.
yeah, the majority.
But we're here.
Hey Matt, hey Jeanette, hey
Vanessa's
everybody.
sticky and Prosecco, but
I
she's
know
here.
my hair's still wet, a little bit on the ends. So, yeah, the majority of them are on Patreon just because of the stuff that we usually have to deal with when we go public. It's just easier that way, not to have to deal with a lot of the trolls and stuff, you know.
Yes.
Hey guys, but we're
Hey
trying
everybody.
to do these on public sometimes. I like to do them, but
Yes.
I know, right? Let's burn our bras. Yeah. I was like, why is it? Oh my God, it's melting. Carolyn. Hey, Nisi.
Hey everybody.
Hey, Amanda. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations, Amanda. You were so beautiful.
You
You're
are.
such a beautiful bride.
I can't believe that. Looks like I took a shower. No, just dripping in Prosecco. I always said I'd like to bathe in it, and I did tonight.
There you go.
Yeah.
We were saying you could always suck on your hair if you ran out
Yeah,
of
I know.
drink.
If I run out, I'll just sit here and. Oh my God. Hey, Mexi.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you. I know, Taylor. It was almost. I took a picture of it and I showed my team. I'm like, this is what my shirt looks like right now. You could see straight through it. So I had to
It's like
fix
a
that.
wet t-shirt
It
contest.
was. Of course, it's white. Hey, Heather. It's nice to have you. Tonight will be interesting because, well, for one, it's always good to take a little break from what, because we talk about that all the time on Patreon and stuff. And I think this is a good case because it's really, really interesting. And it's the 10-year anniversary of her murder on Thursday. So I like to pay tribute to the victims. And I think that in this case, I'm telling you guys, it's a freaky one. I followed it for 10 years. When I moved to Denver in 2011, it was happening. I moved here right in the middle of it. And for those of you who live here, you probably remember it was everywhere. It was a big deal. Hey, Karen.
Yes.
Yes,
Hey,
I know.
everybody.
Welcome,
Hey,
everybody that we don't
guys.
normally get to talk to. Oh, gosh. And there is something that relates to the case we shall not name in this case that I want to bring up. I was telling Teresa earlier today. I can't help but draw parallels to it. So I just
Yes.
have to draw this one parallel because I think it's interesting for those of you who find girlfriends just girlfriends. This is an interesting.
Very.
We'll bring that up, yeah, when we get there because it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Melissa. I was trying to let
Hey,
a few
everybody.
more people get in here, but I've been obsessed with this. I was obsessing about this all day too.
It is. It's such. Oh, you guys just wait, and it's crazy because it's also got such a story of survival in
Yeah.
with it as well. Please excuse my voice. I've had terrible allergies with the spring coming, so it's for like 2 weeks. It's been giving me trouble.
Oh, you sound fine. Hey, me, more Michelle. I know. We were both before
I
the live,
sound like
like
Demi Moore.
sneezing. Hey, Chrissy. It's so nice to see some of you guys here that we don't normally get to talk to, too. And then, of course,
Yes.
our loves, our regulars.
Yes.
Yes, and it's fun. We do this every Wednesday. We talk about
Yes.
anything. They're a little more lax, and you never know what's going to happen in those Wednesday ones.
We do call-ins, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So, right? It's Beth's yelling voice.
Yeah, that's what it's from. I've
But
screamed and screamed.
we do those every Wednesday, and we talk about, the one case, but we also talk about a lot of other cases too. So
Yes,
it just
we do.
depends. I know Stay for Love 21. I kind of needed this break tonight because I know Wednesday, I'm sure we'll talk about all of the island stuff going on. So it's nice to take a break tonight,
Right.
a little break. But
It is.
and I don't, everyone's like, of course, she had to relate it to the case. There is one part I have to relate.
Well, I mean,
That's
it's a
not,
given.
not,
It's so relatable. You can't ignore
it
the
is.
similarities between it. So,
And it kind of came up because there was someone in group arguing with us about this particular person in the case's innocence, and the same situation comes up in this case, and they're not innocent. I can tell you
no,
it is, but we'll get to that.
no.
Yeah, she does sound better. We don't always have too much to drink on Wednesday. Mr.
I just
Snuffles,
saw that. Mr. Snuffles.
of course, and
It's
then
our family,
right.
our Patreon family. Come and join.
um,
Really fun. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
I
I
was
get them
hoping.
every year around this time. It's
I
terrible.
know.
We have stuff already blooming because it's been warmer where I'm, and so they're getting kicked up.
Maxie, we were talking about you last week. I don't know if you heard
We were.
on Wednesday. I don't know if you got the link or not, but we were talking about you.
We were. Were your ears burning because we were
Right.
talking about you?
Amanda G, thank you, sweetie.
Oh,
You
Amanda.
you looked gorgeous, by the way.
Yes, that dress.
Hey, Kels.
There's Teresa.
There's Teresa. Now we can start.
Hey, Debbie.
You missed my story, Teresa. I had a couple accidents right before we started, but we're all good now. Oh, thank you, Michelle Renee. Hey, Sherry. So, okay. If you haven't heard of this case, it is absolutely crazy. And the reason I've been hooked on, a lot of you, if you lived in Colorado, and even if you haven't, it made national news. And if you guys have questions or whatever, feel free to chime in while we go. But this guy would have for sure been the next Ted Bundy.
Yes.
It is so scary. And there were so many you watch the progression and the telltale signs, he absolutely would have been.
Yes.
And unlike some cases we talk about where law enforcement kind of drops some balls here and there, I think in this case, we were talking about this earlier, they were on it. They did an excellent job in this case. Oh, you were in stealth mode, Teresa. Okay, so you heard how I dumped myself in Prosecco and then melted my bra. Hey, Nat. Oh my gosh, I knew everybody was gonna.
Oh, there's Brooke and Oliver.
Hey,
Hey,
Brooke,
Sherry.
Debbie.
There's my mama. No.
So no, he doesn't look like a killer, and that's the other thing. I love when I watch these cases and I'm like, I could take him. But there's a lot of women, in this case, a lot like Ted Bundy. I don't really see the attractiveness of Ted Bundy, but in this case, Travis, the killer, is really attractive. So you've got that going for him, and he kind of did the same thing that Ted Bundy would do, which is he would go and try to help or ask for help or go try to help females, and he would kind of disarm them with the fact that he's more attractive on the show.
Oh yeah.
And they would get sucked in. He was really charming, and he was getting out of control towards the end. So
he was the good Samaritan. That's how he tried to come across.
And I do want to mention before we start that so we actually have content coming out, believe it or not. It's been a little bit since Taylor, but Richard is coming out. Well, for Patreon, they get it tomorrow. It's coming out this weekend. And then next week, Kenia's documentary is coming out. And we have a bunch of them lined up back to back. So, and I finally have a way to do these faster. Thank sweet baby Jesus, because it's way too long.
Thank you, Lord.
She's my hero too. So anyway, so just because it's supposed to be about the victims, I do want to give you a little background first on Kenia. She was 19 at the time. This happened April 1st. So it's going to be 10 years on Thursday. Oh, thank you, Mr. Snuffles.
Oh, thank you.
That was sweet. I spilled one. I have one left. It was terrible. Like I said, if I run out, I'm going to have to suck on my hair.
There's enough remaining. There's enough in there.
So this happened in, like I said, April 1st. We'll start it on March 31st, 2011. And it did make national news, but it's been a while. And I've talked to her dad before. He's a super nice guy. And I haven't talked to him in a while. It's probably been like, I have my drink for like a year. But anyway, she was born in Honduras, and then her mom moved here and lived in Colorado and when she had Kenia, she was young. I mean, 15 years old, moved to Colorado, and met Tony, and they fell in love. They got married and they had kids, and Kenia had to stay back in Honduras for 10 years with her grandparents. And then she came over when she was 12. And she had to learn the language. She did really well in school. She taught Sunday school to little kids. She got really close with her siblings. Everyone who knew her, we were reading about this today,
loved her.
So sweet. They loved her. She just graduated from high school. She was working full time and wanted to go into college, into broadcasting. So she was really ambitious, and she just had everything. She was beautiful. Just had everything going for her.
She did.
You did. Thank you, Anne. You're going to love it. Wait till Wednesday.
Awesome. Yeah, she really was. I mean, like, and I don't know if you get the chance to go and like see her sister interviewed or any of those people, listen to them talk about her. It is just, it will bring you to tears for sure.
And we'll drop some links in the description. And also, like I said, I have her full documentary coming out where I'll have a lot of details. We spent so much time getting every little detail. And I usually listen to, I'm weird like that, every podcast you can find. And I make sure that I have more in there because I'm big into details, you know? Oh, no.
No. Oh, no. It's like, no.
I still cannot look at tequila
Wednesday
to this day. But I didn't even prepare for that. I do have Prosecco. Denise, you're so cute. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise. We love you.
Maybe Wednesday we can do that. But if I do it, then Beth and Teresa have to do it too.
Oh, gosh.
You're so funny. Remember what happened last time? The last time we did this, I think it was when Nora was on. It was like Friday before I felt right again from Wednesday.
I remember. It was bad.
It was bad. And I blame Mr. Snuffles and others that contributed.
That kept contributing to it. It was peer pressure all the way, Vanessa.
Yes.
Straight peer pressure.
It was peer pressure. These are terrible influences. The granola murders, yes.
Yes.
We call it either the Good Samaritan or granola because it was so weird. What a dichotomy. Because Travis was like the next Ted Bundy, but he also made gluten-free granola bars in his spare time. He was very health conscious.
He was.
Yeah. Hey, Patricia. Yes.
Oh, Michelle. Hey, everybody. Hey, Lola.
It was horrific. So she moved here. And so, of course, her dad was really strict, her stepdad, but she called him her real dad. And he was really strict. He had no idea that I wouldn't say all. I know I was like this. Most 19-year-olds, she was going out, she was drinking, she had a fake ID, she was going to clubs. And Denver has an area downtown, and it's called Lodo. That's how we refer to it. And it's just lower downtown. And there's a bunch of clubs, restaurants, stuff like that. And she had a fake ID and would go down to Lodo with her friends. And on March 31st, she just had a breakup with her boyfriend. She was really emotional. And actually, statistically, we were talking about this earlier. That's actually kind of a common thing with these. She was kind of emotionally out of it. She was sad. She went out with a different group of friends than she normally went out with. It wasn't her kind of best friends. It was her, I don't know what we call that, her second tier friends.
Yeah, her B-class friends.
Yeah, her B.
Not her A team, her B team. That's what it was.
Yes, her B team friends. I don't mean that with any disrespect. I just mean that her and her normal friends or closest friends had kind of like a code. They didn't leave each other at bars. They always did. this group of friends, they didn't really know each other as well. And so
Exactly.
they didn't, and I think, unfortunately, there was a bunch of stuff that happened that could have gone differently and she would still be here today.
It could have.
But she got really, really, really. Now, here's the thing. There's some controversy on whether or not her drink was spiked. It's possible. There's nothing to prove it. But she went out to a club that's no longer around called 24K. And she got denied the first club. She got into the second club with her fake ID. And she was not, everyone said that she was 2 thumbs down. That's okay. I'll take it. I'll take the watch. Thank you.
Thanks
So
for the thumbs down.
exactly. Thank you for the watch. So I was like that too, Sherry. And so she got into the second club and they said she was acting really out of character. Now, if that was because her drink was spiked or if that was because, she was just upset from her breakup. Hey, Rosalind, no one knows. But she did start acting really strange. She was very intoxicated. She was dancing with a guy and they were kind of dancing with each other all night. But it comes out later that Travis, Mr. Gluten-free granola, frequented this bar. It was his favorite bar. So it's interesting to wonder if he was there earlier and spotted her and maybe spiked her drink, or if it's just a coincidence. Hey, Mike, you missed it. I am putting out new content. I have coming out back to back. Yes, they did, Mike. It's really interesting.
I think it was something connections. The Dateline episode is something connection.
Thank you, Debbie. So anyway, it starts acting really, and I've got pictures in the documentary, you guys will see. She's very intoxicated. And so she gets up suddenly around 12:30 a.m. Isn't it, Beth? Something like that.
Yeah.
1 a.m. And she hands her friends her cell phone and her purse and says she's going to the bathroom and never comes back. Hey, Jen Lee. It's not much. You're only like 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're good.
Yep, that's it. Deadly Connections. So she leaves her phone and her purse with her friends, and she says she's going to the bathroom, and then they never see her again. What happens is, hey, Anna, she goes to, basically, she gets ejected from the club with this guy. Hey, Stephanie. And her friends don't go looking for her, which I'm not putting any blame anywhere, but Beth and I were talking about this earlier, a little bit strange. Yes. If you have your friends, right, phone and purse, you don't go looking for them.
Right. That's the things that you wouldn't leave behind. That would be a red flag, I feel like.
Researcher, I thought about that too, because when I talked to Kenia's dad, he did tell me that other women came to him afterwards and said that they had had very similar experiences at this club. And that they had also gone dancing and had a couple drinks, and all of a sudden they don't remember. They blacked out the rest of the night. And this, like I said, this club's no longer in existence. So I don't know, but I found that interesting.
It makes you wonder.
It does. He definitely thinks that it's a possibility. Hey, Angelina ATF.
Hey, Angelina.
Melissa, I agree. That's a huge red flag that other women came forward with the same experience. And if when you see the video, and I put it out, and I have video in there of her stumbling around, you'll see what I'm talking about. She's a little thing. She's 4'11", 90 pounds.
So little.
Just a little tiny thing. And so it wouldn't take much, but it's still, from what I understand, she had drank before, obviously, and she was acting extremely intoxicated.
Right.
Oh, Heather, you've had that.
Oh, wow. That's so scary.
It is. And
it really is.
Hey, Shannon, what really
I have a friend that was drugged.
Oh, wow.
Nothing fortunately happened because of other friends realizing that something was wrong. But when she went, she tested she had been drugged in a bar.
My God. That's kind
really scary.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure everyone knows this, but don't ever leave your drink and don't ever accept drinks from others. She was so out of it. Hey, CSI. Hey, thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you. So, and this will be in the documentary that I put out too. you'll see how intoxicated she is. And the thing that sucks, I mean, there's so many things about this case that are creepy and frustrating, but one of them is so many people came in contact with Kenia and so many opportunities to help her and nobody did. And I realize we live in the times of it's not your responsibility, it's not your problem, but man,
looking back, it's just like, oh, any little thing could have stopped that from all.
Yep. And it's hard to watch that footage because I think there's about an hour and a half period where she is wandering around this. So basically what happens is when she leaves the bar, they get ejected. She has no ID, no purse, no phone. So she follows the guy that she was dancing with over to these loft apartments, which is still down in Lodo. It's just around the corner. And I appreciate that, Linz. And there's footage, and it's in the video of her stumbling around, talking to people. Now she's going to go up. The guy tries to get her up to his room. So it makes you wonder who spiked her drink or what the circumstances were.
That was another thing I thought of, is that it could have been him. It just didn't work out because she left.
I was wondering that too. And we're not accusing anyone of anything. Just
Things you could be. You never know.
Yeah. And so she follows him in, and you can see on the video, she follows him into the elevator. She turns around and she leaves the elevator. She changes her mind at the last minute. Which my mind, I'm sure yours is the same way. I'm like, would she have made it if she would have gone up with the guy?
That's my mind too. Like, would she have ended up staying there and not ever come into contact with Travis?
Yep.
Because that was where things went totally wrong.
Yep. And that's what's, and then you see her and she wanders up to the bathroom at the Hyatt. And then she comes back and then she's talking. These guys are fighting in the lobby. Hey, Nick. And she breaks up a fight, and then she's stumbling around. Yeah, I know. She's like, and it's so cute. She's literally trying to break up a fight. These guys have been fighting in the lobby, and she's trying to get to stop it. And you can see her leaning in and talking to these guys. And then around 2:30, it's really sad. There's video of her taking off. She has a little black dress on and red high heels. And she leans against the wall and she takes off her red high heels and she stumbles outside. And that's the last, time that she's ever seen alive. And
so sad.
What's really sad is she stumbles out and she leans down and starts talking to a homeless guy that's sitting outside. And then unfortunately she crosses paths with Travis Forbes, the granola killer. So I am having Prosecco tonight, Patricia. I spilled one glass and I'm on my second one. I'm wearing my first one. Hey, Angie. I know. Isn't that, she was just sweet. And everyone said she was just a really sweet person, caring person. And you can kind of see it in that video because she's caring about others while she's sitting there without.
She was.
I know.
She was so sweet.
It's so sad.
It's so sad. It kills me. And so young and beautiful and just so full of life. And it just, I don't know, when you watch the events and the way that things took place, there's so many times you're like, oh, I wish that hadn't happened, or I wish that had been different, because it's just such a crazy series of events that night.
Angelina, if you go into the Patreon Facebook lounge, Susie has instructions pinned on how to get in there. And if you still have problems, I'll help you get in there before Wednesday, because I don't want you to miss out on Wednesday. Yeah, she was talking to a homeless man. She was, and then according to, now Beth and I found some stuff today even, which was really interesting. But we were looking at maps and stuff, and we think we might have figured out a little bit more of what happened. Travis was down in Lodo celebrating his sister's birthday with a friend who plays into this. It's kind of interesting. We'll call him, I'll use his first name. It's Edward. You can look him up.
Right, there we go.
On why is my connection so bad? So basically, he says that he sees her stumbling around and talking to the homeless man. And he decides he's going to come over and help her because he paints himself as this good Samaritan, right? He just wants to help the poor girl who's had too much to drink. And he pulls his van over and he asks her if she needs help. She says she needs her car and her keys and she wants to go home. So he says, no car and not tonight. There is one little part I'll relate to that case, but that's it. And
no, not tonight.
no, not tonight. So yeah, let me just check. Am I do I have bad internet for anyone? I have full bars here, but I just want to make sure.
Mine was rolling a minute ago, but then it straightened itself out. So I think there's so many storms in the country right now that it's just crazy, kind of. Because I know there's like all over the country, there seems to be some storms.
Okay, so hopefully you'll just let me know if it's back. Yes. All right. It's good. It's better now. Okay.
Oh, good.
Good. Making sure my son's not
Yay.
screaming. So anyway.
Oh, thank you, Danny.
Okay. So we're at the 2:30 mark, 2:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls over. He says he wants to help her. And when he talks later, he's just this good Samaritan. Oh, yeah. And he's, thank you, Danny. And he asks her. Now, this is where his story changes from others. But basically, no one ever sees Kenia again. And the next day, her sister, who she's really close with, her younger sister, is trying to get a hold of her. She's not answering her phone. No one's heard back from her. Her friends haven't heard back from her. And her friends are freaking out because they don't want Kenia's parents to know that they were out drinking with fake ID. So unfortunately, no one says anything at first. They lie about what they did. Another unfortunate circumstance.
It is. Okay, but also a very normal teenage thing to do.
Yep. Okay.
At that point, they were probably scared. Like, oh, gosh.
And, okay, good. So finally, it gets to the point where Kenia's mom is freaking out and she's really scared. So she calls her husband, Tony, and says, Kenia's missing. And he actually, if you watch any interview that he has, he actually thinks it's an April Fool's joke because now we're on April 1st.
Right.
And he doesn't understand what's going on. So he actually takes the rest of the day off work, comes home, and her friends bring over her purse and her phone. But this is now, we're talking 12 hours later.
Right.
And he sits down and he starts going through Nick. Well, I mean, this is pretty much that exact scenario. So he goes through her phone, and as he's looking through her phone, and this is now at 6:46 p.m. Okay. He's trying to find any kind of answer that he can. He gets a text from an unknown number. I don't want to misquote it.
This is.
Do you remember it word for word? You've got a better memory than
it. Says, "Hi, this is Travis, the guy with the creepy white van that gave you a ride home last night. I just wanted to make sure that you made it home okay." And that's not word for word, but that's pretty much. Right. It's so weird to me that he even put in like creepy white van. First off, it's creepy that he drives a white van. All this true crime. But second of all, that he wrote that in there, I was just like, this case is nuts. Like, he has literally just texted her phone.
Yep.
And I know there was just some discussion about how he might have gotten her number if she left her phone. So, of course, her dad has her phone. I think he's probably asked her for her number when he's picked her up. Or, like we were talking, they possibly tried to call her cell phone to find it. Maybe she thought she lost it, but somehow he got the number. That's just so weird.
It is weird because, and what the other thing that's weird, and I was reading about it on a lot of these forums, why he texted that, because he really wasn't on anyone's radar. And I don't know if we're glad he did, but he wasn't on anyone's radar at that point. And he put himself square on everyone's radar with that text.
Exactly.
And thank you, Sherry, for reminding me, because this actually comes into play with something really creepy that Beth and I found last night. It gave me chills. He puts a smiley face, like a little winky face at the end of his, and this was pre-emoji. So it's like one of the semicolon parentheses, winky.
Pre-emoji days.
Pre-emoji days. You had to make your own
back
emoji.
In the old days.
Olden days. So he did. I know it is. And that's, remember the story I told in Patreon last week? That was a white van too. What if you have a white van?
I'm serious.
Seriously. Stay away from white vans.
Yeah. Don't go near one.
Seriously. And if you have one, trade it in.
Yeah.
Um,
It's not a good look.
right. So it's like this is exactly Stephanie. It's like this weird deflection. Like if he sends this text, and there's a lot of discussion about that. Either he's so narcissistic that it's almost a challenge, like a game.
Right. That's what yep.
Is that what you think, Beth?
That's what I think.
Because how stupid do you have to be to send that text? I really can't get over
Well,
that.
you see they get so, I don't know, it's like some kind of cockiness that they get. You see it in a lot of them, like BTK, which I fully
Yeah.
think that Travis would have ended up being a serial killer.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
had every mark for it. So I don't know. In my mind, that's just how I see him doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like this narcissistic way of being like, I don't know, but it was stupid.
Yes, Stephanie, we're keeping it like PG rated tonight. You can get crazy on Wednesday when it's private.
Yeah, 18 plus.
Right. Exactly. Unmasked after dark. Right. So anyways, so he leaves it, and so obviously immediately that text makes Tony suspicious. So he tries to call Travis. He doesn't answer him till the next day. They're trying to report Kenia is missing, but of course, because she's 19, it's too soon. Beware of the white vans, exactly. It's too soon for a missing persons report. So all this time's they're going nuts. They're looking for her. They can't get a hold of her. They finally, um, they finally get to meet up. They make a plan to meet up at a Conoco on Spear Boulevard, for those of you who live in Colorado, and at a gas station. And Maria, Kenia's mom, is so worried about what's going to happen when they meet up,
right.
that she calls Denver PD, and she sends Denver PD out. And so when he gets there, he's shocked to see that they're there already, and just want to make sure that everything's okay. Yes, I don't know are you going to make it? It is. So anyway, so they
Sure.
meet up.
That's true.
I'm just trying to make sure I'm not missing any questions. Stephanie, I know you have a family-sized white freezer. Okay. So anyways, they meet at the Conoco, and Travis is super nervous. And one of the things that stands out to Tony is that he's shaking and he's really emotional. And that's the other weird thing about him. And I don't know how it fits, if he's just emotionally impulsive or because he's very sociopathic in some ways, but he's a crier.
Yes, he's a crier. I think he's just like, I don't know. He's a crier. He's a sensitive. He's like Teresa's ex-boyfriend. That was the crier.
I forgot about him.
Come join us on Wednesdays. You'll hear all kinds of stories.
Yeah, you'll hear all about Teresa's crybaby ex-boyfriend. But he's a crier, and they even say that about him later. And so they meet up, and he's shaking, and he brings his friend Edward with him, which is weird. And Denver PD is just kind of monitoring the situation. And so he's shaking, crying, acting weird. And he tells the story, and he says, well, this is the last place I saw Kenia. It was at this Conoco. And basically, she was drunk. I offered to take her home. We got to the Conoco. And here's the thing, you guys. The Conoco was closed. And you could see that it was closed from far away. But he says they get there and they realize it's closed. So she wants cigarettes. So she goes up to a random guy named Dan. And I don't remember any other descriptors besides Dan.
Dan, that's all I remember too.
Dan the man. And she apparently walks up, maybe it is a nervous cry, Cecilia, walks up, links arms with him, basically bums a cigarette off him, and starts speaking Spanish to this Dan randomly. And they walk off into the sunset. That's his story. Never to be seen again. So I know the crying. So, and he even says this weird thing that it catches your attention to and I have this interview in the video, but he says something like, well, it was like I was, she was done with me and on to the next one. Some kind of weird passive.
Yeah, almost like a little bit of a jealous.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was really weird. Not as much jealous as trying to paint her in a certain way. And I don't like that. Like trying to make it out like she there was a slew of guys, you know. He's such a jerk.
I know he is. Oh, that's so. I know, right, Patricia? Is this a really random story that I don't know? So even the cops say the Denver PD is sitting there listening to this whole thing, and they're thinking, "Yeah, exactly. Sounds legit, right, Crystal?" So they're thinking this doesn't sound right. So as they're listening, they ask him if they can look in his creepy white van. So they look in his van, and you're so funny, Liz. They look in his van and they notice that it's spotless. It's immaculate. They also notice it looks like there's a brand new rug in the back. Not a good big red flag.
Reeked of bleach.
Reeked of bleach. Like the one thing he took away from that, it was overpowering smell of bleach when he opened the van door. Again, big red flag. Reminds me of the meme you put up, Beth, the other day. Big bag of red flags right there. Big old bag.
That one tickles me.
So anyway, oh my God, Susie, you're killing me.
Researcher.
So anyway, he's overpowered with bleach. And, because that's not suspicious at all. Does this remind you of another case where the house was immaculate and everything smelled too clean? If you're, what is too clean, come on. No one has an immaculate car and house.
No.
Well, I mean, I don't.
And no one smells like bleach.
No one smells like
something you generally use to clean your vehicle. So I don't know. I mean, Armor All maybe bleach.
Yeah, I know. That's even mystery man, the Scooby-Doo van too. So anyways, that happens. And so the Denver PD is immediately suspicious, but they've got nothing. So basically they pass out flyers. They're asking around. Everyone's, really upset. He absolutely did. He wanted control and he wanted to be inserted like most of these guys do. They insert themselves into the investigation. And we'll get into that later because he does something super creepy. But only your grandmother smells like bleach. Mine smelled like mothballs, but that's interesting.
Mine smelled like Elizabeth Arden Red Door when she was alive. She wore that perfume, and every time I smell it, I'm like, it's my granny.
Oh, one of them smelled like the other one smelled like my Italian one smelled like meatballs all the time, which was
I love it. Stephen always says his family smells like garlic.
The garlic.
Every time they come to school, they'd be like,
okay. Well, whatever. And if Mr. Snuffles drives a white van, then they got your red flags. So, anyways, that's kind of where the Travis story ends. Well, they're still very suspicious, so they assign it to this detective, Nash Goulet. And this guy, I love him. I'm a person of Nash. Yes, Detective Goulet.
Really good.
So, it goes to him, and if I look down, I'm not trying to be rude. I have so many notes because that's just the way I am.
Here. If I look down, that's the only way I can see comments. So
I know.
I apologize.
And okay.
I try to kind of do just barely like, I'm still here.
I don't want to be rude. I don't think I'm like, but we got carried away. Beth and I were obsessing over this case. And we found, we found good stuff. But anyway, on April 5th, that's when, so she's been gone 4 days now, and that's when Detective Nash Goulet gets it. Exactly, Linz. If he drives a van, smells like bleach, run.
I mean, hello.
You should put that on my shirt. So anyway, it goes to the detective, and they ask Travis, because his alibi is that he was with, and here's where you guys are going to understand where I'm headed with this later in the show. Okay.
Yeah, you guys are going to get it.
And I'm going to be nice because who knows if I hashtag her, if she'll watch this video. But I am not a huge fan of Travis's girlfriend for multiple reasons. And I know she's out and she owns a little candle shop in Denver now. So she's turned her life around. Anyway, at the time, she's dating Travis and she gives him an alibi for that night. And she says that from 3 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the morning, he's with her at her house. He is a stud. I love Nash. He went above and beyond.
Yes.
This is a case where law enforcement, they did a great job.
They did.
Excellent job.
They worked well together too. A lot of times, and it seems like law enforcement don't work as well, but they worked really well together too, which is great.
Yep. Oh, Rosalind, just wait. You'll like where I'm going with this. So, anywho, the girlfriend, her name is Carrie Humphreys. It's public record. And she was his girl. She was 23 at the time. She did tell police that, yeah, so they call him in for a recorded statement. And she basically just parrots his story about that night. He went out. He came home. He was with me all night. He was in bed from 3 to 8. And they still hadn't got his phone records back. So they still didn't believe their story, but she backed up his alibi. So he's free to walk the streets, whatever. Yeah, she does. Patricia. Yeah, she owns a candle shop. I looked it up last night. They look like very nice candles that she makes. She started making them when
I
don't want to jump.
Look great.
Yeah, they do look. They look like nice candles. We'll get for that. Anyway, so yeah. So Carrie, his girlfriend, goes, they don't believe it, but they don't have the phone records back. So in the meantime, they pull up Travis's criminal history and find out since the 90s, since he was a kid, 16 or 17, he's got a record for harassment. What else? It's like assault.
Yeah.
Theft.
I was going to say theft.
And just like any other serial killer that progresses into SA and everything else, he started out stealing women's items of clothing, intimate items of clothing out of their houses, and then he would write their initials on them.
It's so weird.
It was really weird. And he would cut holes in them.
Yeah. That I feel like is so much foreshadowing too to what was going on in his brain.
Yeah. I mean,
he was building just like serial killers do.
Yes, but they are soy candles. Who asked that? They're very health conscious people. I mean, he made gluten-free miscellaneous.
Yeah.
He made gluten-free granola bars.
Conscious.
And yes, right? They're worried about your health, right? And she makes soy candles. Mm-hmm. Yes, what Teresa said. And I even have the dimensions for you guys. It was 1.5 inch hole.
It's the crunchy case.
So anyway, they have, and of course they're alarmed when they see this history. And then another weird thing is in 2004, he was for those of you in Colorado, where he was down in Highlands Ranch, which is south of Denver. I don't know my directions really well. I'm pretty sure it's south of Denver. And he randomly saw these women biking on a trail and picked up rocks and threw rocks at these women and hit them and went to jail for it. And when they asked him, he knocked one of them off their bike and they were injured, and they asked him why he did it. He started swearing at them and just basically wigged out. Hey, C-Dub, you probably remember this case, huh? That's what was on a blog that I read. I'm just giving you the measurements that were there.
Right.
And that was literally what it said. That was the measurement that he cut. Maybe he was being generous. So anyway, miscellaneous. I lost my train of thought.
He was already doing things.
I blame Missy. Yeah.
He was already doing them.
So he was he threw these rocks at these women. So they obviously know he has a history of violent behavior, violence towards women, of deviant behavior. Yes. And there's a lot of discussion on why he did that. Did he do it as a memento, or did he do it for his own, tendencies? Pretty much, Teresa.
Oh. And where did all this come from? That's what you wonder too. Like how many girls has he actually assaulted? It's very strange.
Well, what's weird is they had and I don't want to say this wrong, but if I remember correctly, they all had the initial M on them.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird. I don't know the whole back story. Oh, that's horrible. C-Dub.
Oh, that is.
People are messed up.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, hey, AJ baby. So yeah. Oh, that's a town, south of Denver. So that he had that in his past. So meanwhile, they're subpoenaing his phone records. And they're able to see that his phone is not pinging at, shocking, his girlfriend's house. It's pinging out. Oh, sorry. I'm going to draw two parallels to the case that we shall not name.
There's actually two.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot about that. It's pinging from Keensburg. And if for those of you who follow the other case we talk about a lot, Keensburg is out near Roggen. It's out northeast of Denver. There's nothing out there, basically. Mm-mm. And those of you who follow that case will know, he probably did abuse animals. Researcher, I know that he set fires. He had pretty much every tick mark that you have for a serial killer. He had that tick mark.
He did.
Progression of violence, everything.
Pyromania. Yep, every bit of it.
Yes. Gently, I swear not. It was weird. When I moved here, that case was going on. And then a year later, we had Jessica Ridgway happen, which was huge, horrible cases back to back.
Yeah.
We haven't had a lot since then. I mean, well, I take that back. Then we had that case. Okay. But anyway, yeah, he did set fires. And so he had this huge criminal history there. Yeah, basically psychopathic.
Very.
So, and we'll get to that, Stephanie. I don't believe this was his first one. And I don't
either.
I do believe he had. And he basically says that to detectives, but it's weird. There was pretty much no follow-up on it. Mm-hmm. And we were going to look into that kind of like independently because there was things that were weird there. But no, I don't. He said it wasn't his first, and I don't think it was his first.
I don't think so either.
So they know at this point that Travis is lying and that his girlfriend is lying, and because they can see his pings. And so they actually, this is where it comes in. They do so much. Law enforcement actually drives out to Keensburg and looks for her multiple times and cannot find her because of his phone pings. And they do make an effort because the other thing they noticed on his van when it smelled like bleach is they noticed he had a bunch of mud and leaves on the bottom of the van. So they knew he had been somewhere rural. And when they put that together, and they did, I mean, Beth, we were talking about it. It was a lot. It was like 10 to 15 times that they went out to Keensburg.
Yeah. It was a ton. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
And oh, that's weird. They dress up in Dutch costumes.
Huh.
I know. I do love it here. I just think there are some interesting cases though, but I think it's like that everywhere.
It is everywhere. Well, and a lot of your cases are transplant cases. People that have actually moved from somewhere else. Like say North Carolina, we get quite a few whack jobs.
Oh yeah, that's true. You guys, and then Florida seems to get a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they know at this point they're lying. They have made multiple trips to Keensburg. They're trying really hard. They can't find anything. So meanwhile, so he works at Debbie's Bakery making his Forbies. That's legit the name of his granola bars are Forbies. Mm-hmm. He works at Debbie's Bakery. Now the woman, Monica, that owns rents the space out at Debbie's, calls in and she tells them that her fire extinguisher is broken, that she's missing, right, Beth? She's missing a cooler.
Yep. And she had some money that was missing.
The night that Kenia went missing. Her money was stolen from her.
Mm-hmm.
And the creepiest part, she's found blood dripped on her floor.
That's so creepy, especially knowing now. Well, we'll tell you.
Yeah. And then she goes back through her security cameras and she sees Travis walking in, pulling in a huge cooler. I believe it's 3 feet long.
It's huge.
Or 4 feet, almost 4 feet long cooler. And the latch is broken on it. And so it's
taped.
Yes. And the gall to bring that in during working hours.
That's what killed me. It was like 7:00 p.m. Like it was open and in full swing, like people in there. That's what's so crazy to me.
I know. And we've got that in the footage is in the video too. And so he brings it in and he's got these yellow gloves on that go up to his elbows. And he pulls the cooler into the freezer and shuts it. And then he walks over to the camera and he shuts it off. And this isn't the first time he's messed with things. She even said later that he would spend the night there sometimes, and he would stay up all night on the internet looking up missing women on missing women's sites, which is weird in itself.
Makes me wonder if he was on there looking for women that were missing because of him. I don't know. Sometimes it just makes me wonder if like that's why he was so interested in that.
I agree too.
You never know.
Because that was before Kenya that he was doing that.
Right.
Very strange. Yeah, he was sick. So you got all of those things. So obviously the red flags is a bigger bag of red flags at this point. So to make things even, and then the other thing that happens is he shows back up at 24K Lounge. And by this time, he's been on the news because he's giving all these Good Samaritan interviews. I was just helping her.
She's so crazy.
Help. Yeah. So he goes back to the bar to hang out, and the bartender's like, hey, get out. I've seen you on the news. I know that you're a suspect, basically. So he has the balls to go back to this bar, and they won't let him in. So his sweet little girlfriend that gave him the alibi loans, or doesn't really loan the car. Later she says that. He takes her car and he flees the state. If he doesn't already look guilty already, he takes off to Texas and he goes to Austin, which I find interesting.
Me too. And he already looks, when he's doing the news interview, he literally, when they ask him if he killed her, he literally says, no, and nods yes. It took me a minute to get that. No, wait a minute now. He's like, no, and nods yes as he's doing it. Pretends to forget her name. So I guess he got to the point where he was getting a little nervous and decided to get out of town.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Hang on a minute. Lord, there's always got to be one.
Oh, I see.
Sorry, be right with you. This isn't that live, so I'm sure there's other lives you can go do that in. This is the wrong one. We're not talking about that tonight, nor do I care for those. Your stupid comments. Anyways, I don't know. Someone that needs to get a hobby.
Yeah.
I'll let you, right?
Take them out. Yeah. Just delete them.
Please. All right. So anyways, back to thinking about the victim and not trolls. He takes the car and he goes to Austin. Man, we got through 53 minutes though. I think that's like
pretty good.
I am. I'm impressed.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
So anyway, yeah, he cried. And then there's an interview that I'll put in the and it's in the video because it's about to go to editing. And Beth just loves this interview. We were talking about it earlier. We don't have that in the group, I don't think, but we should have it in there. But it's in the video.
Yeah, we should. And
he's trying to play it off, and he's trying to it's the weirdest interview. He gets emotional. And this is, I don't know if you want to tell this part, but I know, right? Troll in the dungeon. So they're asking him this reporter, and it's in Austin, and they're asking him if he had anything to do with Kenya's disappearance. And he says no, but he nods his head yes. So he says, they were like, did you have anything to do with her disappearance? Did you hurt her? And he's like, no. So nonverbal body language is a powerful thing.
Yeah, he can't remember her name hardly. He's like, what's her name? Oh, yeah, Kenya. That's right, Kenya.
Yes, he pretends to not know her name, even though he's been questioned about her multiple times, been grilled about her. He knows he's one of the main suspects. He suddenly can't remember her name.
So guilty.
It's ridiculous. It reminds me of they're all the same.
I was just thinking that.
They really are. They all think that they're smarter than law enforcement. They all think they're smarter than everyone else, and that they can charm their way through the questions.
Yeah.
And then they can't. So exactly. So I agree, Patricia. Something made him nod his head, but he's nodding the whole time. So meanwhile, they get all his GPS back on his phone, and they go track down his lovely girlfriend. He never had her phone. The friends brought it back, but he somehow got her phone number, and that's not clear anywhere how he got her number. He must have gotten it from her when they were looking for it. That's all I can figure out.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I agree. I would love to see them do an analysis of that interview where he's giving himself away with his nonverbal.
Yes.
It's really interesting.
I would love to see that too.
So anyway, they've got his locations at this point, and they know that his lovely girlfriend is lying. Here's where we're going to draw little parallels with his girlfriend and another girlfriend we talk about in another case. So they go to her work because they're ticked at this point. They go to her work, they pull her out of work, they bring her down to the station, they ask her if she really wants to stick to her story that he was with her all night, and she says yes. And she's allegedly, from public record, she's smug, she's laughing, she's got an attitude. And yeah, exactly. And she's better, she's acting whatever until they pull out his GPS and kind of shut her down, and she has to admit that she's lying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree, Saskia. It's super chilling. So, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Snuffles.
Thank you.
So anyway, they accuse her of lying, and she comes clean and says, yeah, he asked me to lie. He said that he was out doing some other illegal things, and so it wouldn't look good because it's the same night that Kenia disappeared, so please lie for me. So she admits to the cops that she lied to them. Exactly, Bev. There's so many parallels in this case, and I'm trying not to make it too much, but there are important parallels. And
there are. That's true.
And with the girlfriend, and just for those of you, because this brings up what someone was arguing with us in group about this week, that she's just a girlfriend. They're not guilty of anything. Everyone knows probably who I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm going to put them I'll link them in the group, and I also have them in the video that's coming out next week. So anyway, the other one, so the other person that was arguing with this with me and Teresa, I'm sure she's sitting there like, yeah, tell him it is a crime.
Like, yeah.
They were arguing. I know they were arguing that it's not a crime, blah, blah, blah. It is. It's a class 4 felony in the state of Colorado.
Absolutely.
And it's punishable by 2 years in prison, lying to someone during a active investigation.
Right.
Oh, there's that. Hey, Marin. Yep, we have 2 new videos, Nat. So just to clear that up, it is a felony. It is punishable by up to 2 years in prison to lie during those. Just saying.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Just so you know, don't lie to the cops.
Exactly. So the other girlfriend that we talk about. Mm-hmm. You know what? Yes, they have told me that. And Cam, I've been told that before. That's funny. You're not the first person.
Oh, really?
Not funny.
I'll have to look it up.
Exactly, Melissa. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Every time someone says she's innocent, no, she's actually not. But anyway, so even though he takes her car, when he doesn't return it so he's been in Austin now for an entire month, and it would be interesting to look if any women went missing between April 8th and May 8th.
Get on that, guys.
Because I mean, the way he acts, I doubt he could have controlled himself that full month. I just don't think so.
I don't believe so either.
It'd be interesting to see. Now, Teresa brought up a good point earlier. They have his DNA. So if something were to hit, but we don't know if they haven't found people yet or whatever.
Who knows?
Yeah. But it'll be interesting to see because he was there a whole month on a college campus where he liked to hang out.
Right.
So she finally reports her vehicle stolen on, let's see, it's May 4th. So they get all excited in Denver and decide they're going to use that as an excuse to get a warrant for his DNA, go down to Austin and grab him and get him in jail while they can try to figure some things out. Thank you, Jen Lee. So they get a warrant. Nash does, who I love. So Nash, thank you, researcher.
Thank you.
Coolers. Susie's going to come on. She's going to teach a class about how to keep people in your coolers.
Great. Yeah, there we go.
From a law enforcement perspective. not from a killer perspective.
No.
So anyways, so they get on a plane and they fly down to Austin and they grab him. And that's going to be in the video too, but they interrogate him, and that's really interesting. If you guys have seen the Dateline, really interesting because he's still being smug and he's dropping hints left and right, basically that he did it. He's dropping all these hints. He can't help himself.
No, he can't. I swear that's what makes him so serial killer-ish to me.
He's a classic narcissist. He's dropping these hints. He's being smug. He's playing games with them in there, and they're getting frustrated. So they finally say, all right, well, we're going to take your DNA and we're going to take you back to Colorado. And he's like, no, you probably already have it. You don't need it. And they've got a warrant, so he can't get out of it. So they do a swab and they've got his DNA. Thank you, Patricia. That reminds me of Bridesmaids.
I love it.
I know, Patricia, they always think they're the smartest people in the room.
Oh, they do.
Well, we could do both, and Cam. It depends on what mood Susie's in. But she does. She's super interesting. We've had her on before.
Very.
She's amazing. Yeah, she's a very interesting person.
We love you.
It's like we were meant to be friends.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they extradite him back to Colorado. Yeah, Marin. Basically, it's a case in 2011, and somebody can probably fill her in on the back because we're probably halfway through it. But yeah, that would be interesting where else they get DNA from. But they had that one cheek swab. So they get back to Colorado and he's in jail. And here's where it gets very dramatic. It's like a movie at this point.
It is.
It gives me anxiety just reading about it. And they should, I mean, it's so intense how many times. And this is where kind of things go sideways a little bit. Because they get him back and they're holding him only on this car theft charge. And then wonderful ex-girlfriend there decides to drop the charges. She comes forward and tells Ellie, nope, I loaned it to him. He didn't steal it. I'm dropping the charges. So they have to let him go. So they let him go on June 30th. So she's been gone since April 1st. Now it's June 30th, and they have no choice but to let this guy go. And they're sick over it if you watch the interviews, because they know that he's going to do it again. And so they let him out on June 30th. And this is what I thought was cool. They decide that they are going to tail him and just as long as they can, because they're so upset that he's going to be walking the streets and they don't have anything else. Thank you, Bev. Yeah,
thanks.
Yes. I wondered that, Bev. We talked about that
agree.
today. That's a great point, and that's a great question.
It is.
What are these girlfriends thinking? Okay, ladies in here. I mean, I know you care about your boyfriend and stuff, but when there is a woman missing and you think they could be, and I know no one wants to think that their man is going to be guilty of murder, but
still,
man, at this point, she knows. Think about this. At this point, she knows that he's caught lying. She knows his GPS isn't adding up to where he said that she was. Now he's put her in a horrible spot because she's lied to investigators, and she still drops the charges on the car so he can walk. And I don't know what kind of girl that is. Exactly, Patricia. I'm not going to jail for anybody.
Exactly.
Rosalind.
And I'm just not that gullible. I mean, if it's me and I realize this is going on, I'm totally going to be like, okay, he's done something.
And so and here's where I'm going to get a little bit in whatever. I'm just going to say it because I know that she's out living her life. Great. And I read an article about her yesterday that she's changed her life and blah, blah, blah. But this is the thing. Oh, no, it's not that one. Yeah, I know they're being manipulated too, but I don't know. When you also know that he's lying at this point, I don't know. I have a tough time with that. I really do.
Me too.
And here you go. I mean, because what happens next, you have to think. It would bother me. Maybe it wouldn't bother everyone. That anything that happens after that point is kind of on your hands.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Me too.
And you have to live with that
That's right.
Consequences to actions, and I don't know.
Yep.
I agree, researcher. Murder is a whole different thing. So they tail him June 30th and June 1st. And he grew up in Fort Collins. And those of you who follow Colorado crimes, Fort Collins is like an hour north of Denver. And it's a college town.
Mm-hmm.
So, exactly, Rosalind. So he goes home where his grandparents live and his dad lives and stuff. Meanwhile, he's been kicked out of his house anyway because he's a pig and he's been doing all kinds of stuff and not taking care of the property. And he's been rigging the electric so he doesn't have to pay it and all stuff. So he gets kicked out of his house downtown. He goes to live with his dad in Fort Collins, and they don't have the manpower or the money to continue tailing him. And this is what's so frustrating. They tail him the 30th and the 1st. And by July 2nd, they can't tail him anymore. They just don't have the means to do it. He's up in Fort Collins. So the best they can do is they give Fort Collins PD a heads up that this guy's dangerous. He's now in your territory. We're looking for him for a missing person case. Be careful. Hey, Jax. So anyway, 2 days later, after they stopped tailing him on the 4th of July, he has dinner with his grandparents and he says he's going to go watch the fireworks in the park. And it's a cute little college town if you guys have ever been there. Hey, Zoe. And Lydia Tillman grew up in Longmont, and then she moved to New York City, and she worked at a restaurant I've been at before, actually. That's amazing. She was I can't ever say this word, and I've had Prosecco. Sommelier. Did I say that right? She's to buy wine for the restaurant. And she had a really successful job in New York City. Someone correct me if I said that wrong, which I probably did.
It sounded right.
Sommelier,
I can't say it, so.
So I could have said that probably an hour ago, but anyways, her dad got really sick, so she moved back from New York City to Fort Collins to take care of her father. And I love Lydia. You'll love her too. She's amazing. I said it right.
Amazing.
I did something right today. That's crazy. It's the first thing right I've done today.
You did it.
Right? Yay. 1 point for me at 8:00. So basically, she moves back and she's new. She's only been in town for a couple of months. And so she wants to make friends. She's lonely, whatever. She goes to watch the fireworks. And of course, the horrible twist of fate, she ends up at the same fireworks show that Travis is at. And he spots her and decides that that's his next victim. So all that she remembers is walking home from the park. And I don't remember. Do you remember, Beth, what time it was? Was it around 1 a.m.?
Yeah, it was like at 1. I think it was at like 1.
I think it was.
It can't be 1. I think it was around 1.
1 or 1:30 a.m.
Yeah,
around the same time as Kenia. It was weird.
It was.
Yeah, and so she's walking home, and she does say, it depends on where you look. She does say she notices a man possibly following her, but she thinks she's not really too concerned. So she gets to her door of her apartment complex. She lives in a condo, and I think it's like a fourplex, if I remember correctly. And all the pictures of all of this in the video, that's the last thing she remembers. And I have to be careful because I know we're on public YouTube, so I'll have a little bit more in the video. So I'm going to kind of, I don't know, PG this down a bit, because this is an incredibly horrific, violent, horrible attack that this woman endures. It's really hard to read about.
It's brutal. It
is. So hey, Andrea. So just 2 days after they're watching him and they warn Fort Collins PD, there he is. And so what they can figure best is he walks up behind her as she's entering her condo and shoves her in her door.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we talked about how we were going to approach this attack, but it's horrible.
He assaulted her and he essayed and physically assaulted her both.
Yeah.
And
just a horrific.
It did terrible damage. And then set it on fire, set the whole Well, doused it all in bleach first. Because what I thought was interesting is that they said that when they came, is as bad as a smoke smell is. You guys know about that. He had used so much bleach that they could still smell the bleach after it had burnt. So he set it on fire, and then she jumped out of the window.
Yeah, he left thinking she was gone, and she was almost gone, but something.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. I don't know how. When you hear about it in the video and I go into a little more detail, hey, Christy, thank you. You'll wonder how in the world she got up out of her bed or off the floor, whatever, and she was able to get to the window. And she lived on the second story, and she had concrete below. Jumped out while
it was a miracle. It's
burning.
I don't know how you would have the human strength to do that. It's unreal. And then she had such lasting repercussions from what he did.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't, Shireen. I don't think he did. She just had so much trauma that she cannot. Luckily, I think that's a good thing. You know how that is if you've been through trauma. He
maybe the stroke. I don't know. I know strokes can affect your memory. I know that. So that might be part two.
True. That could be a huge part of it because she did have a stroke from the damage. And so it was such a bad, she is marriage. Well,
she was in a coma.
They had to put her, hey, Iroll.
Hey, Iroll.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you, Iroll. She was so bad off. The police were so shocked by the brutality of it that they had they had guards outside her room because they thought for sure whoever did this was going to come back to try to finish the job. They figured it was personal because it was so horrible. So they were scared that they were going to come back. So she had guards. There was a code, all kinds of stuff. And she was put in a coma for 5 weeks. She had a stroke. Her family actually didn't recognize her. The only way they knew it was her tattoos. It's just so crazy.
When you see a picture of her now, you can really see a lot of the scarring, and it's pretty crazy.
Yep. It's awful.
It's horrible.
Tough lady. And Heather Lynn, I have a video coming out next week, and I'm going to have more. I'm just trying to be a little bit careful. It's pretty brutal, and I'll have more.
It is.
She landed on the concrete. She did. And her neighbors found her, and they called 911. So she's in protective custody, basically in the hospital. And they did manage while she was in a coma to get DNA out from underneath her fingernails. And this was the other cool thing that gives me chills. So Denver PD hears about the bleach smell, and it immediately rings a bell. And they think of the bleach in the van. And they know that he's in Fort Collins. And they warned Fort Collins 2 days before this happened. I mean, God didn't waste any time. She is so inspirational. I would love to have her on.
She is.
Ugh.
Wouldn't that be so awesome?
It would. She does speeches.
Oh my gosh.
She gives talks. She's an amazing person. So, hey, Social Catwoman.
Hey, Social Catwoman.
So,
hey, Shannon.
It's so awful. 48 hours after they warn him. So, Denver PD hears about it, hears about the bleach, and they're convinced it's their man. So, they offer the DNA sample that they got out of his cheek, they offer it to Fort Collins to run against Lydia's DNA, which I don't know why that gives me chills, but it just does.
It does me too. When they work together like that, and even if it's different states, it just makes me chills.
Well, and it doesn't always work like that. I was just when I was reading Richard, I would read about, for a while, the different police departments, they would block out the 2 lead detectives. They wouldn't let him in the crime scenes. So they prevented them from linking him as the same killer, multiple crime scenes because of egos.
Yeah, that was a lot of what happened in the Manson case too.
Yeah.
They had 2 super similar cases, but they just didn't want to, and it could have changed things. So yeah, you see that.
Yeah.
So it's good to see them working together.
I agree. I think, again, I can't speak highly enough of Detective Nash, and then the other one, and I'm forgetting his name, which is terrible. I'll put him in the documentary. I forget his name. There were 2 of them.
Do we have the same brain? Because I'm forgetting it too.
Why am I forgetting his name? He was great too.
I know.
Ash's counterpart. So, eye roll. So Denver PD offered the DNA they collected from Travis. They offered it to Fort Collins to run the sample so that they could run it against Lydia, because they were that convinced that it was the same guy because of the bleach, because he was in Fort Collins, just because of the brutalness of the attack. And they thought that, hey, thank you, Missy.
Thank you, Missy. She said, I'm not a cat.
I'm not a cat. She's so funny.
That's our favorite.
And so, yeah, he chose her totally at random. He just spotted her at the 4th of July thing and followed her home.
Yep.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, I know, Patricia. And that's what I really love about this case. You could tell that these detectives really, really cared.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really frustrated because they have to operate the confines of the law. And there were a lot of things that they had their hands tied, but they did offer it up. So they're working. CBI's got the sample now, and they're trying to run it as fast as they can, because every day that they don't run it, they know that he can pick. And he seems to be spiraling out of control as he is. It's like he got a taste of it and he's just spiraling. So while she's in her coma, the Craigslist post. Can't forget that. Okay.
Right. Oh, right.
This is so freaky. We found this. I had never heard this before yesterday. It's weird. Beth and I both found this yesterday. So there's a Craigslist post. Okay, so at 2:30 a.m. on the 5th is when she's found, and she's now, as of July 5th, she's in the hospital with cops there, right?
Right.
That day, I believe, Beth, it was like 12:30 p.m., 1 p.m., something like that.
I would say it was around noon or 1, yeah.
Yeah, so like 12 hours later, a Craigslist post comes up out of Fort Collins. And I wrote it down because it was so freaky. It's titled Do Over. And it reads, if I could go back, I would find a way to kill you. And it has a little smiley face next to it. Just like the text that was sent to Kenia's phone when her dad checked it. There's no proof it's him.
Is that not creepy?
But someone found it on a forum. And I mean, the timing is interesting. Where it came out of, and then the little smiley emoji at the end. And witnesses saw a guy matching his description walking around her burned out apartment with a clipboard, like trying to pretend to be an insurance adjuster or something, and basically trying to eye his handiwork and look around.
Yeah, just like they all, it's weird. They all go back to the scene.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of them.
And I don't know if it was I could never find it was proven, but everyone said it was a man matching his description.
Oh, I bet it was him.
Yeah. So it could be a coincidence, Kimbers, but it's weird that came up because he seems to like to want to leave messages and like hints.
Right.
Seems to be his personality. Super creepy.
It is so creepy.
And then I don't want to say that this is connected because we don't know, but Beth and I both kind of feel that it is. But there's nothing to back it up, and I don't know if we'll ever know.
Right. It's just
yeah, I don't know. Because I've been searching, and I don't know if you could find anything, Beth. I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I don't know how we'll ever know for certain.
So 3 days later, on July 8th, there's a 37-year-old woman, Amy Ahonen, who's supposed to go to work as a waitress at Red Lobster. And I don't remember if she has car trouble or what the exact details are, but her Jeep is found on the side of the road in Golden, Colorado. If you guys know Denver, it's another suburb of Denver. And there's no trace of her ever again. And they're wondering, since he's this good Samaritan, a lot of people feel that he might have just passed her and seen her with her car broken down and pulled over and offered to help her.
I can see it. I mean.
Mm-hmm. And she's never.
And I do think that. I don't think, you see these people and they're charged with these crimes and you think, well, those are the crimes that they committed. There is a lot of unsolved cases. There's a lot of missing people that they don't know. And a lot of times I think these guys are responsible for more than we even know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I totally think that, I mean, in my opinion, we'll never know, but that was him. I just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know, Iroll. I don't know what insurance. I could probably dig and find out. I don't know. I just know I used to be in insurance, and I know we would walk around the scene with a clipboard. So that was
Right.
the first thing that popped into my head, is that he was walking around with the clipboard to pretend he was, assessing the damage with the insurance company. And then no one would question him.
Exactly.
Because that's what I did when I was trying to sneak pictures of the Amityville house. I really
That's
was
smart.
I really was working the floods up there, but I heard they were
Yeah.
see about it, so I
Was that
pretended.
house so cool? Was it
Yes.
so crazy looking? I would love to see it.
And I got out my clipboard, and I was already in my khakis, and I pretended to be doing the house next to it so I could take a bunch of pictures. So
Oh yeah.
that's why that popped into my brain, because I'm guilty of that on a lesser level. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I will remind me, because I bet you it's somewhere on a forum.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what we've been doing for the past 48 hours, is finding information on this case. Yes,
Yes.
Deb, I did. I was working the floods, in 2012 up there. And, I couldn't leave. Amityville was one of my territories. So I took some pictures of it. It's crazy. They changed the shape of the windows. They're not weird anymore. They changed them to hope people didn't recognize the house.
Yeah. They don't look as much like eyes anymore. So weird.
I know. And it's a gorgeous house. It's like over $1 million. I looked it up. I would buy that house. It's on the
Oh,
water.
beautiful. And
Dock.
DeFeo just passed away
I
not too
know.
long ago. Speaking of Amityville.
Yep. Squirrel. Sorry, I had to go there because I really did do that. So that's why I was like, well, if he's anything like me, he was pretending to assess that. Right, Kimbers? Okay, so Amy. Yeah, and I don't know if he was connected to Amy or not, but I do know that this was in 2011, of course. In 2014, they did find her bones. There's obviously no cause of death, and it's just a
I have
cold
no
case.
idea.
And it'll sit there. There's no DNA. And I've been unable, maybe you guys know different, I've been unable to find any updates since 2014.
Yeah, we couldn't find anything. We searched and searched everything on this case too, and I didn't.
That has happened to me before, and I've pulled over, and that is a hard situation to be in. I've gotten a flat tire before, and someone so nice pulls over and offered to help me. And man, following true crime my whole life, I want the help, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna
You're
get
like,
murdered.
I don't know. I know.
And I think guys are smart enough now; they can kind of tell that that's what we're thinking, but that's a hard spot to be in.
It is.
When you need help and you don't know who to trust.
It is.
Oh, I agree, C-Dub. We're going to try to do these once a month where we bring up old cases or cold cases or missing people's cases and do a deep dive into them. I agree. Researcher, everyone should carry, in my opinion.
Oh, thanks, Ange.
Thank you, Ange. So, okay, I left off at Amy, and that's really sad for her family. Her family had a Facebook page up for the longest time, and I just don't think they're going to get anywhere with it because there's no DNA. It's just a cold case.
Yep.
So, I know, Crystal. Seriously? Well, I guess you made the right choice, Mia Moore. That's really scary.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you, Ange. Yeah, people are crazy. You never know who you can trust and who you can't. And that's a perfect example Mia Moore has up there.
No, and I can't remember who was it that was saying that Ted Bundy had stopped to try to pick up her and her friend, and then the back, they realized that he was saying he only had room for one of them, and they were both kind of like, well, that's weird because you have nothing in your vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't go. And it's like one of those, I don't know. It's scary when you're out. They'd had car trouble too.
Yep. I agree. Well,
and
no,
like AAA. I got AAA coming.
Exactly. Have AAA. And then there's never a cop around when you want one around. There's always a cop around when I'm speeding.
I know.
Or when I'm like looking down at something and I'm not staying perfectly in my lane. But there's never one around, it seems like, when you need one. But that's all right. No, this isn't a cold case. Well, this part of it, and that's the confusing thing. I don't know if Amy's disappearance was connected, but it was in the time frame. It wasn't that far away. It matches some of the MO of Travis, which is helping somebody in need.
Right.
And I mean, it definitely could be connected. I don't know though.
It's just got a lot of similarities. So, do you hear my
So
cat?
it does. It has your cat. So, and it makes me sad for her family too, because like I said, they found her bones and that's it. 3 years
It
later.
does for me too. To not have the closure or know what happened would just be so hard.
And I know someone's going to come at me for the statistic, but I was told, Patricia, based on your question you asked, have we ever wondered how many psychos you may have come across in your life and made it out? Well, if you count the true crime world, I would give like about 50.
Ooh, yeah, if you
50.
count that.
Yeah, like every single day, if you mean online psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
However, in real life, I was told once that there's a statistic that, what is it, like 4 in your lifetime? I don't know where that number comes from. That's what I was told.
Yeah, it's like, so I can't remember. I think it's like 4.
That's what I was told, and I think that's the current stat, and I don't know where it comes from. Something
I
like
don't
that.
either.
Some of us more than others, because I feel like I attract them.
I know.
Bees to honey. You haven't heard of this case? I'm gonna do a video on it.
Yeah. That's the good thing. So, like, if you guys that are coming in and stuff, Vanessa's done an amazing video. So, you're going to get so much more information from that. So, if there's anything,
Yeah, believe it or
Jeanette.
not, believe it or not, we have a lot. We have a lot more details in the video. We're not even giving, like, we dug so much up on this case. There's so many crazy things. It's one of those that it's just crazy all the way around.
It is.
That's probably. You worked at Universal when Casey Anthony worked there. Oh, Teresa, did you hear that?
Teresa,
that is her case.
oh, thank you, Iro. We love you.
Yeah, I feel like in true crime there might be higher than 4 for sure.
Yeah,
I feel like, in fact, just last week I think I ran across 2. For sure.
2 last week.
The block button is my friend.
It was a pretty low amount for a week, Vanessa. 2
It is.
only.
And I think like
That's pretty good.
Psychopaths that I actually was like, look, they should be on a watch list or something. Yeah. And they probably are. No, Casey Anthony, Jeffrey McDonald is our case too.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So this is where it gets even crazier, because now we're at July 8th. Amy Honan, we don't know if that's connected, disappears. July 10th, Fort Collins PD is flipping out because they are waiting for the DNA to come back from CBI, but they're convinced that it's Travis. And they are sitting there in a college town with females everywhere, the bar area. So they are staking out undercover the bar scene now, watching Travis like a hawk. Okay. But they're undercover. So they're trying not to blow their cover and follow him. So I'm telling you, the guy had lost his mind at this point. He'd lost control. So July 10th, he goes out and they're sitting back in the unmarked cars watching him. And they're watching him go up to females when the bar is let out. And they're panicking because they think that he is going to, which he most likely was.
Right.
Picking his next victim. And that's her case too. So they're watching him go up to this one girl. And Beth, you know this part a little bit better than I do.
Yeah, they were watching it. He went up to her and he was like talking to her, and they could tell, something's going on. But they thought, if we go and stop this right now, we can't arrest him. We don't have enough to arrest him on. We don't want to blow our cover because so I'm not exactly positive. I would love to talk to them and know like the exact technique that they use, but they decided that they would like intercept it as civilians. So they kept their cover, but they've made him uncomfortable. They've like walked up and started talking and stuff. So he left and changed his shirt.
Yes.
And they're watching him still this whole entire time. and he literally goes right back and starts following another girl. Like
Yep.
he was going to assault and kill someone that night.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yep. That is
So I thought
so
that was great police work to think like, okay, we can't, give up our cover, but we have to stop this. Like he's literally getting ready to do this. So like there's just as civilians, they stopped
Mhm.
it, were able to keep their cover. So
I agree. I know, right, researcher? I agree, Penny Lane. That's what you'll find. I agree. He was going to be our next. He was going to be
yes.
our Ted Bundy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
The
Couldn't doubt.
looks, the Good Samaritan, the
Mhm.
whole
Yep. And so yeah, what Beth said, they did that, and then the second girl, they watched him, and he. So the second time, they kind of had this moment where they were like, "He's going to kill somebody for sure. He's determined. He's going to get
yeah.
his victim. He's going to kill someone." So exactly, Christy. So they jumped out of the car and they found some bogus reason to come up to him. And luckily, again, this is weird how this worked out. He didn't want the girl to know his name to scare her off because his name had been all over the news nationally at this point.
Oh
He had
yeah.
been national news. So he gave the cops a fake name. And so right there, they had their ability. And so they pulled him
To
apart.
get
One
him.
pulled the girl over here and one cop had Travis over here. And basically they sent the girl home. They were like, this guy is dangerous. Get out of here. Don't talk to him. Go home. And they made sure she got home. And Travis lied to them, gave him a fake last name. So they were able to arrest him on giving a false name to the police, which is only a misdemeanor though.
But thank God.
I know. And this is where it gets crazy like a movie.
It does.
I agree, Melissa. But again, it's only a misdemeanor charge. And this is what I wrote down. We were getting all geeked out about this today. So they get him on this misdemeanor charge. And so now it's July 11th. And they basically could not hold him more than 24 hours because he was going to post bail. So they're calling CBI and like, you got to hurry this DNA testing up because this guy's going to post bail and he's probably going to leave the country at this point because he's being harassed by like he knew that they knew at this point.
But that was
Yeah. I think that oops. Sorry, it was my Wi-Fi went down and then it's back to full bars. So I know, wow, right? Hey, Truth for Reality. Thank you. So basically, it's this very intense, and when you read about it, and I'll have this in the video too, it's this extremely intense moment, like a movie. They're calling CBI, and CBI is like, we are trying to get this done. We have put this as a priority. We're trying. And they're watching him, and it actually does get this close to the wire. They're watching him in line to post bail. And as he is the next person in line to post bail and walk out, CBI calls and says, it's a match. It's him. Arrest him for Lydia's assault, attempted murder.
He was that close.
Yep. He was the next person. So they grabbed him and they arrested him right there in line and charged him with Lydia's crime.
Mm-hmm.
Insane.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess they could have tried to tail him, but they thought he was going to Mexico the first time back in April and May when they brought him back, and they were convinced he was going to leave the country.
That's where he was going to, yep.
Yeah. And so it was that crazy.
Mm-hmm. So that is like a movie. You know, can you imagine how they were just, oh my gosh, he's right there. He's right there. He's right there. We got to get him. Oh, I bet they were so relieved to get that just in the nick of time.
And you know, there is no question. Yes, thank you. You know he was going to do it again. The guy couldn't even wait 24 to 48 hours. And he was completely unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was fate too.
He was crazy.
He was completely crazy. He's a crybaby psychopath. Total crybaby.
The emotional psychopath.
Yeah. And so basically he went to jail. Obviously he's waiting. And then, so they had the DNA match there. And he's such a baby that anyone who knows that lives in Colorado knows that, yes, we had the death penalty, but we don't actually use it. I think the last time we put someone to death was like 1976.
I was going to say the 70s. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. C-Dub might know, but it's something like that. But he was scared, so he decided to try to make a deal to avoid the death penalty. So on August 23rd, he decides to meet up with Nash and the other detective that I can't remember his name. And
I have it written down in my notes. Or
I know. And
just to know we respect you. What your name is, we think you're awesome.
Yes, we thought you were too. I don't understand what. So he admits to the crime, and he admits to Kenya, and that's another part that I'll have in the video too. And it's hard. Some of these interviews are kind of hard to find, and I don't know why that is.
I know.
But I mean, I know it's been 10 years, but it's still a huge case. And they basically, he admits to where she is, and he breaks down crying like he does. And this is another. Hi, insanely confused. Thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it ironic, Lauren? So he starts crying and he begs for a deal, and he admits that he killed Kenya, and he admits where she is. And this is another weird part of the interview. He admits that he put his debit card where again, it's like this game pieces. I feel like it's
so
game.
weird.
He put his debit card in where he buried her. And they ask him why, and he says because of guilt. I don't buy that at all.
I don't either.
Hey, Chrissy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chrissy.
So it is. So he actually had put like this little clue. So, and maybe he counted on the fact that he'd be so long gone or out of the country at that point that by the time they found her, it would just be like this ha-ha in your face thing. But I think that's really strange that he left his debit card.
Strange.
Mm-hmm. So turns out, of course, where he had put Kenya was in Keensburg, out by Roggen, where he had been pinging and where detectives had gone so many times trying to find her, and that's where she was.
That's where she was.
And this whole time, think about it. Thank you, researcher. Thank you. I feel bad. Denver Police Detective Louis Estrada. It was Nash Roulet and Louis Estrada.
I knew Louis. Okay, got it. Louis and Nash undercover. Thank you so much.
Yes, they were amazing. I felt like they did an incredible job on this case.
Yes.
It's nice. Detectives that seem to really, really, really care. And this whole time, Kenya's family, bless their hearts, had no answers. They were hoping, especially her mom and little sister and little brother were hoping that she was being held somewhere against her will, that she was still alive.
Right.
And they had hope this whole time. And
that's so sad.
Yeah, it's possible he dropped it and didn't put it there and he was trying to cover that.
Could be.
And so he confessed to what he did. And basically, and I'll have more details again because we're on public YouTube. I'll have more details in the video. But basically, he admitted that he saw her, put her in the van. His friend was with him, which I find weird.
Very.
In the van. He says he drove his friend home and dropped him off, and that she passed out in the van.
Right.
Beth doesn't necessarily believe that. I don't know if I do either.
I don't believe that. Well, especially because of the defensive wound. You know, she had scratched him.
Yes.
And I don't see somebody being passed out. To me, that's like, which I guess she might have possibly woke up. Vanessa probably knows this. She could have possibly woken up and scratched him. Is that what he was saying?
Yeah, he said that that he had assaulted her. And we looked up today, Beth and I, he pulled over. So basically, if you look at the map, and I'll have this on the video, he's not driving her to Aurora where she lives. He's driving her to his home. So something happened en route from his home. He pulls over before his house, but what was it? It was like a block from his house.
Right.
These gardens that we have. And was it Alamo?
Yeah.
Downtown. I can't remember. Palomino.
I want to say Palomino.
Maybe it's something like that.
Something like that. Something like Mino. Yeah. There's supposed to be really pretty gardens. I read about them. They're supposed to be like really pretty.
Next year, there are botanical gardens.
They're supposed to be really pretty.
And that was a weird thing too, because it translates to tiny cottonwood trees or whatever is how it translates to. And that comes back into play. But something happened. That is where he took her life, was he pulled over at this park. He says that she woke up and fought him and that angered him. We talked about the beginning of the video. She's 4'11" and 90 pounds. He's 6 feet tall.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a big dude. I mean, he was like a thin, very thin guy.
Right, but still way bigger than she was. I mean, she was like tiny.
She was. And she was also incapacitated and all of that.
Exactly.
So she did put up a heck of a fight. And she got him good enough to where he had a scratch on his arm that he could not get to stop bleeding. And that's what the blood on the floor in the bakery was. Even that many hours later on his forearm, she got him that good. So, no, the friend was questioned, and I'm just confused about that because they changed the story too. One story was that he drove his friend home and dropped him off, and one story was that his friend got out and walked home. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know he's never been charged with anything, so there's that. Hey, Kathy.
C-Dub, it was.
So it is really weird about the friend, and I wanted to look more into that because remember, he also came with him to meet Kenia's dad at the Conoco.
Yeah, and now I thought that too. Like, that's just, he was so involved.
Yeah, it's
with
very
it tonight. I don't know, but I mean, I'm assuming that they talked to him and ruled him out and blah blah blah. But still, it's just strange.
You would think. I knew Teresa was going to tag Nick. So, bye, Kimbers. Kimbers. He admits that happens, and then he said, "Now this is the other creepy parts. Is after she had died, he he put her in the cooler, and he worked a full day." Making his little Forby's granola deliveries to people's houses with her in the back of his van. And it's just crazy.
Insane.
And then he mentioned that another witness had seen him burning something in a barrel behind the bakery. And the fire was so hot that it melted the paint off and it melted the asphalt underneath the barrel.
Yeah, and they said it stunk so that it was like this crazy smell.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was that night. So basically what he did was he texted Kenia's family, her phone, while he was sitting there with her in the cooler, and then walked into the bakery and did all that stuff right after sending that text, which is so messed up.
So messed
up. Yes. Me too. And she was smart that she did that and left her mark.
Yeah, very.
So her last moments must have been so scary. But
it just makes me so sick.
That's what he said happened. And then he said he felt so much guilt, because Travis is such a caring person.
Oh, yeah, he's just so.
That he went out. Yeah, and remember he talked about, and then the Cottonwoods come up again. He went out to Keensburg, which again, for you guys that follow the other case, that we talk about a lot, it's Rogan, and he describes the detectives, he put her under these cottonwood trees. He wanted her to be somewhere pretty because he felt bad. So, yeah. So anyways, he did that, and they drove him out on September 7th. They drove him out to the spot. And this was the part Beth was telling me about today when he got there, how he acted.
He yelled out. They said he got out of the car. I mean, it was literally described as he screamed out. I guess it was just ah. And then he looked at the detective and was like, "You're standing right on top of her."
Yep.
And he was of course, bawling, crying, and he's screamed. But it was really weird. They said he just yelled out. It's I don't know.
I know. I don't know all the drama. He was very dramatic with him.
Very. I can see him being a total drama king.
Yes.
Just like this,
Well, when he was
he literally was "You're standing right on top." I was like, that makes me sick. You are so evil.
I know. And Detective Nash was standing right on her grave. So that's when they dug her up, and She was there. She was in a very advanced, decomp, so it was very difficult. And I have more about that in the video, but that finally. Oh, really?
Is Keensburg where I've been to the wildlife animal sanctuary in Colorado, and I'm a guess that's in Keensburg, so I guess I've been there.
Oh, I did not know that housed some of Joe Exotic's former animals. I had
It
no
does.
idea.
It does. You should go there, Vanessa. It's
That's so
the
interesting.
coolest thing. Last time we were in Colorado, we went, and it was so cool.
Yes,
It's
Danny.
really good to see them like taken care of.
That's really neat. I don't know how I didn't know that, and I live here.
It's amazing. They have like so many different animals. Anyway,
That's interesting.
back at their magazine.
You're so cute, Beth. Yes, Danny, you get it the first one. So anyway, so they finally had some closure, but it was really sad for Kenya's family because any hope that they did have was done that day on September 7th. And when I talked to Tony last year, he talked about having to break the news to his wife at the time and Kenya's siblings and how devastated they were, especially Kenya's sister, because they were very, very close.
So close. I mean, she said they texted like 50 times a day, just like constant. And I know they probably just wanted to believe that she was alive somewhere just to have that. I know that closure is good, but I know they probably just wanted to have that hope that she was going to come home. And then
I know.
it's so sad.
It's so sad. And they finally, so he did plead guilty at least. No, thank you, Elsa. He did plead guilty, so there's that redeeming quality that he had. At the end of September, and he was sentenced to life without parole for Kenya's murder. And then in the meantime, Lydia did come out of her coma, except I know a lot of you guys were asking about Lydia and what kind of permanent damages she had. She did have she has permanent brain damage. She did.
She had to relearn to speak.
Yeah.
She couldn't even speak because of the damage that he had done to her. She can speak some now, not as well, but she couldn't even speak. I mean,
Yeah. It was so sad at the trial, at his sentencing. Her dad had to speak for her because she couldn't speak, and she wrote this speech to Travis, and she forgave him in her speech because she didn't want to give him that power. So she actually said in her speech that he did nothing to her. She was fine, and she forgave him and chose to live her life without thinking about him or whatever, for the rest of her life. And she, if you look her up online, she does a lot of speaking engagements about what she endured. She, I believe, is a yoga instructor. She's an incredible and she's gotten some of her ability to speak back. She even has a sense of humor about it.
She's amazing. And, sometimes when you study true crime cases, you study so much, but I literally cried last night because I was reading, I didn't realize Kenia's mom gave Lydia a ring that had belonged to Kenia and was one of her favorites. Yep. And apparently she wears it all the time. Yep. So I don't know. She just said she felt like Kenia was wanting her to give Lydia that ring. And she even described like when she hugged Lydia, she felt like it was like Kenia down from heaven. I'm sorry, I'll cry, but it was like so precious. I just thought like.
It is. It was really, that gave me the chills too. I know, I agree. That got to me too. She's an incredibly strong person, and that's why I would love to be able to, good night, Melissa, be able to talk to her because she is incredibly strong woman, and just to be able to do what she's come back from. And when you understand the injuries that she had, which even said in this video, I'll have it in the other video because I don't know how she survived in the first place, what he did to her, but she, came back, from brain damage and a stroke and not being able to speak. And now she, teaches yoga, and she speaks. I mean, you can tell but she's incredible.
But yes, it's so much.
Incredible.
She
Yeah.
has, it's amazing.
And she dedicates her speeches that she gives all around to Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really cool. She's a really cool person, and she's got a really good support system around her. And the irony is she moved from New York City here to take care of her dad, and her dad ended up being the one to care for her and support her through this. So
Isn't
another,
that just...
yeah. So, and he's, a monster. Oh, and then I didn't want to leave this part out because, we can't leave the girlfriend out.
Oh, no.
So he was sentenced on September 26th. He got life with no parole for Kenya, and then he got 48 years for Lydia's assault.
Mm-hmm.
He did tell detectives when they sat down with him, they asked him, are these the only people? And he said, nope, it's much more horrible than what you think. Was he telling the truth? I don't know. But he claims to have,
I think he is telling the truth.
I do too.
I'm just going to be, I think he's telling the truth. I think he is literally a serial predator. I do.
I do too. I absolutely do.
And there's probably more.
I agree. And I still wonder about Amy. I really do.
I do too.
It's so frustrating that I don't think they're going to get closure on that.
I know. We're like,
about anyone missing in Texas that month that he was there. And then what he told detectives is that the person was from his younger teenage years. So it makes you wonder about any Fort Collins disappearances because that's where he grew up.
Mm-hmm.
That's
true.
Breaking into houses and stealing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I do too, Heather. I absolutely think that Amy was his victim. It's just too. I've done so much research, Mike, on Amy, and I'm going to keep looking because I'm going to put her in the video, but I can't find anything past 2014. I see they found her bones, and there's no way to even determine a cause of death. So right now it's just a cold case. They can't even say it's foul play, but I don't think her Jeep stalled and then she went on a hike and forgot her.
No.
I don't think that it's like anything like that. So
I don't either. And I'm sorry, it's just too much of a, coincidence, the timing, the locations, everything, not to think that he would have something to possibly do with that.
I agree. I roll. He was in Austin, Texas, and I just find it hard to believe he couldn't even get through 48 hours in Colorado. I doubt he got through 30 days in a college town, but he was in Austin from April 8th to May 8th of 2011. Yeah. And I mean, they've got his DNA, obviously, in CODIS. I couldn't find anything, but I haven't dug that deep. It would be interesting to dig in and see if there's any cold cases from that time.
Yes, it would.
I agree, Nick. Ooh, really? That would be something interesting to dig into because it's Amy Ahonen, and I can message it to you. It's Ahonen. She was 37. She was actually, I think like the next day or the day after was going to be her 38th birthday. She was planning her birthday party when she disappeared. So they found it was not far from Golden. They found her bones. And I know they have to say they don't know if it's foul play. Again, her car broke down. Someone had stopped and she had said she had car trouble and she was going to get help. And then she disappeared.
Yeah.
Not that far. Yeah. No. I mean, I feel like
it's the logical. Yeah. Like,
could it have been a different killer? Sure. But
I don't know. I just have this strong feeling that was him. I mean, that's a specific kind of predator. And I just think, especially him being the Good Samaritan, and in the area, just everything, I think it was.
I do too. And I feel bad. She was it was one of those, it's always interesting. I think people's backstories before things happen to them. It's so sad.
Yes.
She had just gotten divorced and she had a child, and she had just relocated to Colorado to kind of start her life over and get a fresh start. And she had gotten a job, she gotten friends, and boom, she disappears.
That's so sad.
Oh, thank you, Truth for Reality. That's what we try to do. We've been digging on this case. I mean, I started digging deep on this case about a year ago. Like I said, I did talk to Kenia's dad, who he is an interesting guy. And the things that he talks about, I mean, you hear this a lot. It devastates your whole family. It breaks up your family.
Right.
Go through something like this.
You see that so much.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if she was small like the other girls. Actually, that's a good question. Because yeah, Lydia was very tiny too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I said, Travis was like 6 feet 170, so he probably had to pick relatively a girl that could
Small.
fight.
Yeah, he's not a big muscular dude. He's like
Right.
this like long, lean, more build, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I have to bring this up, of course, because you know that what I said I would relate. So the girlfriend who now has a candle shop in Denver, makes soy candles. She was on October 5th, so after he was sentenced and all that was taken care of, Carrie was arrested for lying to the police.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned before, is a class 4 felony in the state of Colorado, punishable up to 2 years. Okay. And she was given a slap on the wrist, but she did do some time.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had I think it was less than a year, if I remember
Right.
correctly. It was a few months. And then she had community service, which is where she learned how to make candles. Community service. But
Oh,
she collected bottles and she would come home with the bottles and cut the tops off. And then one of her friends asked her to make a candle. I'm not being mocking either.
I did not know this.
Then she cut the tops off and started making candles. And so she actually, I will give her, the candles are pretty fancy and they have good reviews on Google. I looked yesterday. And so yeah, there's that. And
Her candles are pretty.
her candles are pretty. Say something positive.
That's right.
But that's what she does now. And hopefully she's learned her lesson and
Yes.
lives her life a little bit differently.
And thankfully, she was actually punished for lying to the police, unlike quite a few people that we know have lied to
People,
police and are not punished. That's all I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah. Heather Jolly. No, this isn't in her bio. Actually, I read it's so funny. Gosh, well, Heather Jolly, do you think I don't have screenshots of her bio and having
So
I don't have all of the scents of her candles memorized? Yeah, she has she said something about, you know, she went through a hard time in her life and she used that time to do something positive with it. Right, Denise? This is what I'm trying to. I promised I would mention that case during this live.
I'm just tickled because I'm seeing the bio where it's like, so
Yeah.
I was in prison and then I had to do community service all while doing
The
that.
bottles. And then
I realized I like candles.
I realized that I could make soy candles from the bottles. And like I said, they are fancy. They're
Yeah,
fancy. I can't make candles,
I
right?
can't either. I
And
mean,
they're soy. They don't have the
you should
toxins.
go buy one.
I thought about it last night, but I can't do it.
I was just talking about you.
I did look though. Yeah. Yeah. And so it did make me think a little bit about a certain other case
For sure.
where for 2.5, almost 3 years, we've listened to how she's innocent. She's just an innocent bystander or a girlfriend. No, there's a responsibility there to tell the truth. And when there's a murder investigation, there's responsibility there to not lie and not hinder the investigation.
That's right.
And you got to think about the fact that what maybe Lydia wouldn't have been attacked.
I've thought about that so much through this. Like, you have to take things like that seriously. You can't, I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, you know, you never know. It changes, it affected things. And so, oh, thank you, Mike. Yes, and I know, Mike, you've been the one asking me about that. I know, I didn't have the process streamlined. I do now. I've got some content coming out. I've got 2 back-to-back, actually. So, yeah. I know. Researcher, you're so funny. Exactly, Mary Wood, and not to destroy evidence. All those
Exactly.
little things when people's lives are in the balance.
Right. All those little details that.
Mhm. And if you do, you should expect some jail time because, again,
That's
it's a
right.
felony. If I haven't mentioned 6 times that it's a felony.
One of the big reasons that Martha Stewart went to prison was for lying to the FBI. I'm just saying.
Yep.
And that's Martha Stewart, and I love her. So I'm
Me
just
too.
saying. She had to pay for it, so should other people.
So, right, Stephanie?
Yeah, like deleting text. Exactly, Marin.
We're just, yeah, or break your SIM card or delete your phone or
Exactly.
lie. Those are all felonies.
That's right.
So, yeah, I couldn't help myself. I was reading this, getting all fired up. I'm like, so this person was held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. There should be a consequence.
That's right.
Yeah, we do these every week in Patreon every
We do.
Wednesday. And it's pretty much everything goes. And then we're going to try to do these bi-weekly where we do a deep dive into a different case. And we were going over it today, but I pretty much have them all planned out through August. And then we just came up with our August topic. So I'm excited.
It's going to be so good.
Researcher says, leave Martha alone.
Leave her alone.
Right. Okay. Mia Moore. Exactly, Nick.
You guys are so funny.
Any of those things are, not okay. But yeah, it was nice to know. But again, she's got that in there. So, but this is, like I said, I'm going to do, I have a documentary coming out on it that has even more details because you got to be careful. They're kind of sensitive about certain things we put in. But if you, exactly, if you get a chance to look up, and I will have part of Lydia's speech. I think it's from 2015 or 2016 in the video. It is really hard. I mean, it gets to you.
Oh, it will get you. It's a tear. It will, I mean, you'll be crying unless you're like a freak of nature or something.
Right. Right.
And if you're not a crier, you'll be crying on the inside. Trust me. You'll be like, if I cried, this is when I would cry.
And it's funny because she's got such a great outlook. Oh, hey, Anna Faith, thank you so much.
Anna.
You get a different, I mean, I look at her and think, could I be that tough? I don't know.
It was insane. I was reading where she had said, I refused to live my life in anger.
Oh, thank you, Chris. I missed yours, Chris. I didn't mean to. I looked away. I can't look away ever. Thank you, Chris, so much.
Oh, thanks, Chris. But yeah, it's so tragic.
It's a messed up case. And yeah, thank you so much. And Lydia's in one part, she kind of makes a joke about it. I think, could I have done that, with what she went through? I mean, she makes a joke about jumping out of her window and hitting the concrete.
Right.
I mean, she's like, and out I go, splat. I'm thinking, God, this woman is awesome. I wonder if I could be this woman. I don't know.
I know. And I'm so scared of fire too. So even to just throw that into the mix, like that is just, can you imagine having all that happen to you and then realize he has just set this on fire?
Yeah.
Like, I need to get out of here. It's awful.
And she does talk about how she doesn't know how she did it, but she managed to find the willpower to wake up. I don't know how either, and get herself there and do that. I mean, that's just some kind of miracle.
It's a miracle. It is.
Yeah. I know. Taylor's another one like that, right? A lot of these get to you.
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to put that, but I do have one before that. I'm so excited that, thank you, researcher, that I'm excited to finally, it's a little bit behind schedule, but Richard's coming out because that's when I followed since I was a little girl. And
one of the scariest, I think. He is one of the scariest serial killers that has ever been. I mean,
agree.
Oh my God.
Yep. Well, she laughs too. It's funny. I know. Thank you, Mary. They left a lot out in the Netflix. Believe it or not, that was a really comprehensive Netflix, but there was a lot that they left out that if you've read about him, that I think is important to put in there. Especially his backstory. That's absolutely terrifying.
His childhood is one of the craziest things, like with his cousin and such.
Yep. That's the part
This will be a good one.
They didn't really go into that really. That kind of, and it explains a lot. And
they didn't, and I feel that way too.
Yeah. So that one's coming out tomorrow for Patreon, this weekend, I think, for public. And then we have Kenya coming out. And then I have other ones planned, but I can't say in advance because my how that goes. It has to be a surprise. Otherwise, weird things happen.
Yeah. Otherwise, it'll be.
Patricia, I know, Mike, right? Mia Moore. Yeah. So Lydia is my idol, basically.
Yes.
But we'll have more in the video. And then, so if you guys let us know in comments or whatever, if you like these deep dives. We did one in Patreon. Was that like maybe 2 weeks ago on Ken and Barbie?
We did. Yeah, we've done Manson and Ken and Barbie in Patreon.
Yes.
Well, we've done part 1 of Manson and Patreon and Ken and Barbie.
We'll have to do part 2.
Ken and I'm dressing up for part 2. I already have a whole outfit to wear. Yeah, I'm gonna be in costume. The Ken and Barbie, which I guess most of you guys should join Patreon. It's really, but we did that case, which is the most heinous case.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a hard one too. So that one's a Patreon, but we're gonna try to do these. Some will be Patreon, some will be public like this because I love doing these deep dives.
Me too.
And
we'll put them out public.
So. It's hard not to talk about the island once in a while, but for the most part too, I want to hit some other cases too, because there's so many victims and cases out there that need attention and,
Right.
Yeah, Mia Moore. It's
good to get a break.
It is. For my sanity and our sanity, I think we need a break here. Seriously. And then we can circle back to the island at some point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Debbie. So,
Charles Manson.
Teresa, yes. And Teresa, as she just reminded me, is going to do Jeffrey McDonald.
Yes.
Which I'm super excited about too. And
I cannot wait for Teresa. She's like an expert with that case.
Yeah.
You guys, just wait.
So that one's going to be fun too.
It's going to be awesome.
And thank you, Niecy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yep. For my Patreons, we'll see you on Wednesday. Yes. And then, like I said, let us know in comments if you like this, if you want us to do more of them. Because I have a big old list of ones I'd love to do.
Yes.
So, McDonald, I don't have a date on that. I need to get with Teresa. Bug Teresa about it. Message her.
Message Teresa as many times as you want to about it.
Yes. Hey, out running errands.
Hey.
Oh my God, Teresa. Beth is our cult expert, and then Teresa is our family annihilator expert. That's basically how this works. And then we have Crystal and Stephanie are supposed to do a Scott Peterson debate.
We're going to have a mock trial.
Which I cannot wait to see.
Me neither. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be cheering.
Rosalind, which one? Oh, we were talking about the Night Stalker.
Yeah, Richard Ramirez.
That's the next one that's coming out. Actually, for Patreon's coming out tomorrow. It's finally edited and done. And then that one is scary. And then we've got Kenia coming out because I wanted to honor her 10-year anniversary. So Harley Dilly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
that was sad. Ooh, that was so sad. Whew. I can't stand to think about that one. Just about that. Whew.
I know that one's upsetting too.
Yes, Steph.
I know she is funny, isn't she? A mock trial. Yeah, Stephanie and Crystal are hilarious. If you've never heard them go around and around about Scott Peterson, you're missing out. Those two crack me up.
Yeah.
I don't know, C-Dub, what Wednesday. We kind of just go where it goes. I'm sure there'll be something that happens tomorrow that'll be what we talk about on Wednesday because God knows there's always something going on. Well, she'll be on Wednesday.
The crazy island.
Sure is. And thank you, mods. I thought it would be I'm actually kind of impressed. I thought tonight I was a little bit worried. I'm like, well, because of everything that's been going on in other parts of the island, I'm like, oh, tonight's going to be really difficult. But I know you do, Mr. Shovels, but we only had one annoying person, I feel like, the whole
I
time.
know.
That's kind of nice, and it took an hour.
Yes, that's awesome.
Out running errands. We will do Drew Peterson. I don't think she's here tonight, but
yeah, we have a real close connection with that one.
we do, and we will do something on that.
We will. Let's try to canoe. Okay, let's do it, Nisi.
We're trying to canoe. There's that tide that keeps pulling, but this is a good start.
It's a rogue wave. It's not even a tide. It's a rogue wave that just pushes you right back onto it.
Thank you, Marshall. I appreciate that. All of us work really hard. My team works so hard too, and I adore them. They work so hard, and they're amazing people. I'm very blessed to have the friends I have, I feel like, with us, especially in this crazy world.
Well, we're so blessed to have you too, Vanessa.
I've got a good peeps.
We're all lucky.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we have Prosecco on the island, because you can't come to the island sober, okay?
To even deal with it.
Mm-mm. Nope. I got to go buy some more for Wednesday.
And I think they were saying Patreon the lowest one's $3. So.
No. Yeah, no, it's not. It doesn't cost each live.
No, it's $3 monthly for the lowest tier, and then they go up from there, and you'll get certain things at certain tiers. So.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, he is. So I think we're gonna. I can't believe normally those things can go like 4 hours. I'm like, wow, we did this in 2 hours and 12.
Oh, I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, we did it.
It's amazing what I can accomplish with only one of these. It's a good thing I spilled the first one on me, the computer.
Plus, we're not talking about the island.
Exactly.
Usually that leads into.
That's true.
Plus, we talk about everything on Wednesday nights too.
Yeah, we talk about it. We don't just talk about the island.
We tell stories.
Yes. And thank you, Beth, for joining me
tonight. Thank you for having me.
And screw the rent, right? And love you guys so much.
Love you all.
And like I said, let us know in comments if you want us to do more. Yeah. And we will see some of you guys on Wednesday. And then we'll put out an advertisement in advance a little bit farther, but we'll let you know when Jeffrey McDonald's going to come out. And we'll let you know the next one, like Manson Part 2 and the other ones we're going to do.
Yeah.
That are a surprise.
A surprise. Jinx.
Yes. But I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
So.
Love you guys.
Thank you guys, and have